Imagine waking up one day and finding out that your favorite character on your most loved show is basically gone. Not fired, not drama, not a scandal, just gone. And the worst part? She told us herself. No rumors, no leaks, no anonymous sources. The woman herself sat down, opened her mouth, and said the words that broke a million hearts. If you are a Bridgerton fan, and especially if Penelope Featherington has ever made you smile, laugh, or cry, then what you are about to hear is going to hit you differently. Because Nicola Coughlan, the woman behind one of the most beloved characters in the entire show, has just confirmed something that nobody was ready for. Season 5 of Bridgerton has already started filming, and she is barely in it. That is not a rumor. That is not clickbait. Those are her own words. So before you start panicking, keep watching, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what happened, why it happened, and whether or not you should actually be worried. Asterisk, to really understand why this news is hitting so hard, you have to go back to the beginning. When Bridgerton first dropped on Netflix, nobody expected Penelope Featherington to become the heart of the entire show. She started out as a background character. She was the quiet girl standing at the side of every ballroom, watching everyone else live their big, dramatic, romantic lives while she stood there in her bright yellow dress, unnoticed and overlooked. Nobody was writing her name on fan forums. Nobody was making fan edits about her. She was just there in the background, blending into the wallpaper. But Nicola Coughlan had other plans. Episode by episode, scene by scene, she brought something to Penelope that you could not ignore. There was a warmth to her, a sadness, a quiet fire burning underneath all that shyness. And when the show slowly started pulling back the curtain and revealing that this overlooked, invisible girl was actually Lady Whistledown, the most powerful and feared voice in all of London, the internet absolutely lost its mind. People were not just shocked, they were obsessed. Because it made perfect sense. Of course it was her, the girl that everyone ignored was the one who saw everything dot by the time season 3 arrived and gave Penelope her own love story with Colin Bridgerton. Nicola was no longer a supporting actress. She was the main event. Season 3 became one of the most talked about seasons in the show's entire run. Fans were divided, emotional, deeply invested in every single moment between Penelope and Colin. The will they, won't they? Tension, the heartbreak, the slow burn, the payoff. It was all there, and Nicola carried every single second of it on her shoulders. She made you feel everything Penelope felt, and that is not easy to do. So when a character has taken that kind of journey, from background girl to fan favorite, lead, and then the actress who plays her says she will barely be in the next season, you can understand why people are not taking it well. This is not just about losing screen time. For a lot of fans, Penelope Featherington is Bridgerton. And the idea of a season without her front and center feels like something is genuinely missing. Asterisk, she did not whisper it. She did not hide it in a carefully worded statement released through a publicist. She just said it casually, calmly, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Nicola Coughlan sat down on the Dish podcast on April 29th, and in the middle of a completely relaxed conversation, she dropped the kind of news that makes Bridgerton fans stop whatever they are doing and stare at their phone screen incomplete. Silence. Her exact words were simple. She said season 5 had already started filming, and she would not be in it very much. That was it. No big build-up. No dramatic pause. Just the truth. Said out loud by the person who knows it best. And that right there is what made it hit so differently. Because when rumors spread online, you can always find a reason to doubt them. You can tell yourself it is just gossip, just speculation, just someone trying to get clicks. But when the actress herself looks into a microphone and confirms it with her own voice, there is nowhere left to hide. There is no version of events where you can talk yourself out of it. She said it. It is real. Penelope Featherington, Lady Whistledown herself, will barely be seen in Season 5. Now here is something that makes this news even harder to sit with. This is not just a small step back. When you look at the full picture of Nicola's journey on this show, Season 5 will actually represent her smallest role in the entire series. Think about that for a second. Even back in Season 1 and Season 2, when Penelope was just a recurring background character and nobody was really paying close attention to her, she still had more presence than she is going to have this time around. She went from being the invisible girl in the corner to the most talked about character on the show, to now having less screen time than she did when she first started. That is a journey that nobody expected to go in that direction. And the timing of it all makes it sting even more. Season 5 has already been filming since March 2026. The cameras are rolling. The ballrooms are filled. The drama is unfolding. And Nicola is not there for most of it. She is not on set every day. She is not in the middle of the story. She pops in for a few days here and there, says hello to the cast, and then she is gone again. While everyone else is deep in the work, she is living her life on the outside, connected to the show by only the thinnest thread. For a character who once stood at the very center of everything, that is a shift that is almost impossible to ignore. Asterisk, nobody just disappears from a show like Bridgerton without a reason. And in this case, the reasons are sitting right in front of us, hiding in plain sight, written into the story itself. This was not a decision made overnight. It was not a falling out. It was not contract drama or behind-the-scenes tension. The truth is actually far more interesting than any of that. The truth is that Penelope Featherington's own story wrote her out of the spotlight, and when you understand how it happened, you almost have to respect it. Go back to Season 4. Penelope had already married Colin. She had already built a life. But the biggest moment of that entire season was not a wedding or a ball or a romantic confession. It was a decision. After years of hiding behind the Lady Whistledown pen name. After years of using words as her armor and gossip as her power. Penelope finally chose to walk away from it all. She shut down the column. She put the quill down, and in doing so, she handed over the one thing that made her the most dangerous woman in London. The showrunner of Bridgerton, Jess Brownell, explained it perfectly. She said that Penelope had gone through such a massive growth arc that she was simply no longer the powerless girl who needed Whistledown to take back her voice. She had grown beyond it. She had outgrown the thing that defined her. And that right there is the storytelling reason behind everything. Because when Penelope was Lady Whistledown, she had a reason to be everywhere. She had to be at every event, every gathering, every whispered conversation, because she was collecting the information that kept her column alive. Her invisibility was actually her greatest weapon. But now that the column is gone, now that the secret is at and Penelope is simply Lady Bridgerton, a married woman living her life, there is no longer a story reason to keep pulling her back into every single scene. The engine that drove her presence on the show has been switched off, and without it, her role naturally shrinks. But here is the other side of this story that people are not talking about enough. Nicola Coughlan is not sitting at home waiting for Bridgerton to call her. She is one of the busiest actresses working right now. In 2026 alone, she has already starred in The Magic Faraway Tree, appeared in GOAT, returned for Big Mood Season 2, and even hosted Saturday Night Live UK. She is everywhere. And when someone's career is moving at that speed, a reduced roll-on, one show is not a loss. It is simply a chapter closing so that several new ones can open at the same time. Here is the part that every single Bridgerton fan needs to hear before they spiral into full panic mode. Nicola Coughlan is not gone. Penelope Featherington is not gone. And if you have been sitting here this whole time convincing yourself that this is the beginning of the end, then you need to take a breath, because the actual future of this character is far more exciting than what Season 5 alone might suggest. The story is not closing. It is simply pausing. And what comes after that pause might just be worth every single second of the wait. Think about how this show works. Every season hands the spotlight to a different Bridgerton sibling. Anthony had his season, Daphne had hers, Colin and Penelope had theirs, and now it is Francesca's turn. That is how Bridgerton has always been built. The characters who led their own seasons do not disappear. They simply step to the side and let someone else take the stage. Jonathan Bailey did it, Simone Ashley did it, and now Nicola is doing the exact same thing. She is not being pushed out. She is following the same path that every lead before her has walked. The difference is that Penelope's path has a very specific and very exciting destination waiting at the end of it, because season 6 is coming. And season 6 is going to be Eloise's season. If you know anything about the Bridgerton story, then you already know what that means for Penelope. Eloise Bridgerton is Penelope's best friend. They have one of the most complicated, emotional, layered friendships in the entire show. There was a falling out, there was pain, there was distance, and now there is a whole season built around the character who is closest to Penelope's heart. The moment season 6 begins telling Eloise's story, Penelope has every reason in the world to walk back into the center of things. The best friend arc is coming, and it is going to remind every fan exactly why they fell in love with Penelope in the first place, and beyond even that. Bridgerton is a show that is planned to run for 8 full seasons, covering every single one of Julia Quinn's novels. That is years of storytelling still to come, years of ballrooms and scandals and love stories and secrets. And Nicola Coughlan has already made it crystal clear that she is not walking away from any of it. She said herself that she is always happy to come back, that it is a genuinely lovely job to return to, and that she sees it as a place she can keep coming home to. No matter how much time passes between visits, that is not the language of someone who is done. That is the language of someone who knows their story is far from over.